In this video, we're going to talk about the 1080 Ti and its impending demise. So the thing that led me to do this one was that over the past week or so, I've been seeing a lot of an uptick on 1080 Ti's on the market. A lot of them. Actually, this one I just picked up. This is my newest acquisition. I picked this up for $80, which yeah, that's a pretty normal deal today. I mean, there's not too many posted for that much, but I suspect locally people aren't paying much more than that for them. It was a decent deal because I got it in the box, and it was from a good seller, and it was a fairly clean situation, comparatively speaking. But I think that the enthusiast tech space today is being largely driven by big name YouTube channels. And those big name YouTube channels put out things like, oh, is it the end of the road for the 1080 Ti? Videos like that. And I do a lot of testing on this channel with older hardware, unsupported hardware, GTX 780s, GTX, 690s, Radeon R9, 290Xs, Radeon HD 7970s. These are all unsupported video cards, and many of these cards can run games like Cyberpunk surprisingly playably at like 1080p. I mean, you're not going to crank them to 4K or whatever, but I mean, surprisingly good. And I think that, and again, do not misconstrue this. I am not going to sit here and say, do not buy newer hardware. I am not one of those people that's going to sit around and say, all new hardware is terrible. The 1080 Ti is the only good GPU that's come out in 10 years, blah, blah, blah. I'm not that guy, okay? Look, I've got tons of the latest and greatest stuff. But that being said, I think that if you were still using a GTX 1080 Ti 3 weeks ago, especially if you had not at that point heard about the end of support of new driver support for the 1080 Ti, I think in a vacuum you would still be happy with it. And I'm going to show in this video that this is still a very capable card. Again, I'm not saying don't upgrade. If you have the money to upgrade, something like a 5070 Ti, 5080, Radeon 9700 XT, those cards will make you happy. You'll be able to play kind of similar to the levels you were with this when this was new. But I also think, again, if you hadn't have heard about the end of the driver support, I think you would still be happy with this GPU. If you were happy with it, as recent as 2 or 3 months ago, I think you'd still be happy with it. So all I'm saying is, take a close look at what this can still do. And, if you were happy with it, consider continuing to be happy with it. If you don't actually really need a new GPU and you're just doing it because, you saw somewhere that the driver support had ended. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, let's jump into the look at the games and let me show you what I'm talking about so you can see just how good of an experience people are claiming is the death of the 1080 Ti. So stay tuned, and I hope you guys enjoy. The first one we're looking at is going to be Cyberpunk 2077. So we are running Cyberpunk at low settings. So take a look here. But we're at 1440p, and we are at the standard low preset. Now be aware, all of the uppers are turned off. This is with no upscaling, no frame gen. Now, personally, I think that even at the low settings, it is not the same experience as running at low settings at 4K. This looks really good. You're not going to convince me, just be, oh, that's low settings. Like, seriously, GTFO. This looks good. It is nice, it is crisp. This is a generally good experience on Cyberpunk 2077. Even at the comparatively low frame rate, yes, it is running in the 30s, and I have clearly shown that if you can keep that frame rate consistent when you're in the 30s, it still will look great. There's some games that aren't that way, but Cyberpunk is not one of them. So let's pause for a second, and we're not going to be able to run. Gosh darn it. We're not going to be able to. Paused at the wrong second. We're not going to be able to run Cyberpunk higher than this at 4K without any of the uppers. But for those of you that are just 100% anti-upscaling, I wanted to show you what this would look like. So let's pause for a second, and I'll start showing you what the increasingly high settings look like. Okay, so now we're running at the high preset with FSR 3.0 at the quality, and then we do have the FSR 3.1 frame gen running as well. And this is the standard high preset. Now, keep in mind, this is the outer edge. Most people that are going to be doing this aren't going to be running 4K. They're going to be running 1440 or 1080. This is just to give you guys an idea of just how good of an experience people are thumbing their nose at and saying, oh, that's not good enough anymore. And it's granted, it's not perfect. It is worth mentioning, though, that it is generally regarded that upscaling, the higher the output resolution you're running at, the better the visual results of upscaling are going to be, and the less noticeable the artifacts and just imperfections caused are going to be. So probably the only thing I can see is towards the back of the tire on the motorcycle. I can see that there's some degradation there. I don't see a whole lot else. And this is absolutely the full meal deal as far as being the full experience of Cyberpunk. You're not really missing out on anything at this point. You haven't cranked it so low that it's taking away from the experience. So let's get to another game, and we'll hopefully see the same thing on most of them. Hogwarts Legacy is the next one we're looking at. I chose Hogwarts Legacy because, in my experience, it is actually one of, if not the most demanding PC games out there right now. As far as actually what it takes to have a consistent experience on this game, it tends to be the highest. This game has massive swings in frame rate, and if you don't have a decent amount of frame rate overhead, you'll see it drop from like 100 FPS down to like 25, 30, and then back up and then down. It's kind of a weird game, but therefore it's kind of a good example of a system like this. And right here tends to be one of the more demanding areas. I don't know why. Everyone says Hogsmeade, but that's not what I've seen. But we're getting a pretty consistent, solid frame rate here. And look at this. We're running at high setting, 4K output with 1440p on the actual, so it's upscaling. And this is going to look better than just putting it on this and just stretching it to this. This will look better. Yeah, we're using the upscaling. We're using the frame gen. We're using all of our tools. But why the heck wouldn't we? It's like an 8-year-old GPU. So we're using all of the tools at our disposal to get to this, which I think's incredible. Okay, so let's move on to another one and see what else we can show with this combo. So this is the last one that we're going to be doing. Now, this is really interesting. I was not expecting this. So look at how low the frame rate is running. I'm not saying it's butter, but I would not expect gameplay to be this smooth at this low of frame rate. It's surprisingly good. But let's turn down. Let's do 1440. It seemed okay at 1440. And then let's also Let's do that as well. Let's see what that does. Oh, what just happened? Did it... Oh, that was weird. Okay. Must have had to redo some stuff there for a second. And this is absolutely a good experience. Let's do one more thing. I wonder if... We can't do it at higher res, but I wonder if it can run medium settings at the same frame rate. Okay, let's see here. Actually, it's pretty close. I would really need to play it for a lot longer than I can here to make an assessment. But I think it's playable at medium settings. Yeah, look at that. We're looking at 99% on the GPU. Let's do this. Let's turn our... Because it was looking fine on the balanced. So let's do that. Okay. I think we're pretty dialed in here. But in any case, this just shows you that some of these hot new titles you can run on these older GPUs. Again, I'm not saying don't buy that new GPU. I'm just saying look at some of this kind of performance and look at the experience you're actually able to have and think twice before you do it, is all I'm getting at here. So anyway, I hope you guys found this interesting, and I hope maybe this kind of shows somebody that they can still be happy with hardware that isn't the latest and greatest. And thanks for watching.